Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, technologists. Welcome back to the podcast. Super excited to be talking to you guys today. I am just excited that I am going to have more time to devote to this podcast and devote to all the good things CT wise. So, summertime is great because I'm able to focus more and not running around with school meetings, parent teacher conference and all that stuff. So this is good because it gives me more time so I can share more knowledge with you guys and just give you some good shit. Okay. Yes, that's what it's all about. So I know I haven't done um, any of the typical series that I do once a month or every other month. So if you're new here, I typically do what I call CT trauma stories or CT scan stories. So it is a segment that I do where I share the most memorable trauma or CT scan stories that I have collected over the years as a CT technologist, which I'm pretty sure everybody has a story when it comes to CT because it is never a dull moment when it comes to CT. Like shit is always exciting. And especially if you work at a level 1 trauma hospital like I do, shit is off the chain. Okay. And I tell you, it is something new every single day. It is never dull. So, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about CT scan stories, which I title this The Right Hook, the Violent Patient in CT. Now, this story actually happened recently. It probably happened about a month ago. And it was on one of my weekends that I was working. Okay. Because where I work, we work every third weekend. So every third weekend, I am at the hospital saving lives. So this particular Sunday, it was super busy. Sundays, especially when it starts to get warmer in the Midwest, causes people to go crazy. And yeah, it's a fucking shit show. So, this particular case, it happened later in the evening. It was 2 hours before my shift was over. And we got a call saying, hey, we have the stat CT of the head without contrast. Patient's got neuro changes. Can we come down? Sure, no problem. This patient's coming, from the ICU, from the neuro ICU. Of course, they think that her bleed is getting bigger, right? So patient comes, patient has a posy on, has wrist restraints, and she is trying to get out of the bed. Okay. So immediately we're trying to talk to her. We're trying to tell her what we're going to do. We're trying to just calm her down. So all of a sudden she starts grabbing the nurse. So the nurse calls upstairs and says, hey, I need some medication. If somebody can please bring me down some meds so we can sedate her because she's getting out of hand. And we're probably going to need public safety. So in the trauma hospital that I work at, we have, it's like security, but it's public safety officers where they are like a level under police officers, in the state of Illinois, because they do carry guns and tasers and body cams. So she had to call them because all of a sudden the patient was getting very agitated and the patient started cursing. So as I'm trying to calm her down to try to say, okay, we're just trying to help you, you know, can you tell me where you are? Do you know where you are? What is your name? And she starts cussing at me. And of course, I've been through this business a long time, and patients will say some random ass shit, and we just let it roll off our back. Okay. Patient can call you a bitch and they can call you an MF, and you just keep going, right? So of course I don't pay any mind to this. And I just said, okay, well, ma'am, do you know where you are? Are you familiar? You're in the hospital, you are very sick. Can you tell me what day it is? Well, she says, I don't have to tell you anything. Okay, no, actually, you don't. Okay. And she kept telling me that she needed to go to the store. So we knew that she was having neuro changes and she was trying to get off of the bed. And we told her she couldn't get out of the bed. So then she starts grabbing the nurse by the arm. And so the nurse grabs one arm, and then I'm trying to, contain the patient because, let alone, this posy is not working, right? So I'm telling the patient to calm down, calm down. All of a sudden, she starts swinging. And I'm like, oh, hell no, we're not about to do this. So I said, ma'am, you need to just keep your hands to yourself. Well, all the while, I'm trying to restrain her other arm. The nurse is trying to call to get more meds. And as we're waiting for public safety, well, the patient decides she had an opening and clocked me right in the face. So, yeah, I got a right hook to the face, which naturally, some techs will just let it roll off your back. However, that was like the second incident that day where I got hit by a patient. So, yeah, naturally, I was pissed off. So, what I did is once she clocked me in the face, which, by the way, the patient had a pretty damn good right hook, I went ahead and I grabbed her arm and then I had to sit on top of the patient because I wasn't going to allow her to hit me anymore. Well, as I'm standing, as I'm like kneeling over her in the bed while I'm restraining her arm and I'm restraining her, and the nurse was like, oh my God, when she hit me, like you could hear the punch. So I was so mad because in my mind, I'm thinking, this is the fucking second time I got hit by a patient because we were trying to help them and they just decided, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and just hit you today, which is a big no no. Okay. Any patients that listen to this podcast, it is illegal to hit a healthcare worker because you can spend some time in jail for that. Now, what makes this incident different is that the patient was altered. She didn't know where she was. She was very confused, and she had already had hemorrhaging in the brain. So naturally, they're going to act combative. They're going to act irrational, and there's nothing we can say to try to reason with them. So at some point, when I tried a couple of tactics, I wasn't going to reason with the lady. Okay, the patient was unreasonable, and that was it. It gave her no right to hit me in the face. So once public safety came and they see me like just kneeling on top of this lady, okay? So like I had both knees on the bed and I am holding her down with both hands. And all of a sudden she's like, okay, I'm not going to hit you anymore. I'm not going to hit you. And I said, ma'am, I go, you're not going to hit me anymore because, you thought you could get away with it. You're not going to get away with it ever again. And naturally, I was really upset. And it would upset anybody because you don't expect to get hit. Like, we're here to help and to, make people feel better, not for patients to commit violence and act violent towards us, which that's an everyday occurrence, regardless if you work at a trauma hospital or not. So they went ahead and sedated her. Well, it didn't help. Then they had to put her in a 4-point restraint. And what ended up happening is they ended up sedating her so I can get her scan. And I had to have pictures of my face taken, and file an incident report and just all this nonsense and all this paperwork. I'm telling you, when you get hit by a patient or if a patient falls or if they fall on you or you get hurt at work, whichever, like the paperwork is fucking ridiculous. And I had to document the incident and the whole thing. It was just a freaking nightmare. What I did really appreciate is when this was all said and done, I mean, my coworker was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe that. Like, she saw the whole thing go down and she could not believe that, the patient like would actually strike me in the face. So she was a little taken back by that. But what I did appreciate is the charge nurse on that unit 24 hours later, because when you do an incident report, like your manager gets it, supervisor, anybody that's, charge or manager on whatever floor the patient came from, she called and she says, please, she says, I don't know who was there, who got hit. She goes, but please just let her know. I apologize. We're taking care of it. And if you need anything, please let me know, which was super helpful. And I really appreciated it. And I come to find out once I, spoke to some of the nurses on that unit when I came back to work 2 days later, that the patient's son was really aggravated about her care, considering that she was all over the place, and decided to sign his mom out AMA to take her somewhere else. So, which, he had power of attorney over her. He can do whatever he likes, whatever his wishes are. And I tell you, that is probably one of the stories that I have. And it's not the first incident that I've been hit by a patient. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you listening have probably had workplace violence where patients think it's okay to, hit, scratch, bite you, punch you. I mean, I've had it all. I've had patients choke me. I've had patients bite me. I had patients pull my hair. I've had patients punch me in the face. I've had patients, do some inappropriate fondling, thinking that they can get away with it. Shit just like this happens. And I don't think people talk about it enough, but things like these do happen. Okay. And it's not okay. So that is my CT scan story for the week. Yeah. Violent ass patients. Now, I know the incident that I had before, it was almost the same, where the patient hit me in front of their family member. And the family member stepped in and was like, oh no. And I said, you know what? We're done here. You guys are going back to the ER. So when this person calms down, they can come back. No. So that was like the first incident that I had before the story I just told you. So naturally, I was already upset because I had already gotten hit once that day. And to get hit a second time, it makes you go from 0 to just 100, like real quick. But we never take it out on the patients because that's never the right thing to do. Yeah, internally, we're pissed off because we don't want to get hit by anybody. Like, we're there to help you, and we're there to make sure that you feel better and to find out what's wrong with you. We're not there as your punching bag. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this series for CT scan stories. And as always, if you want to come on the show and be a guest, there is a link to a form that you can fill out, and I will contact you within 48 to 72 hours to make sure that you're a good fit for the show. So if you have an interesting CT story that you would like me to share on a future podcast episode, make sure you send me an email. Everything is in the show notes. Make sure you check that out. Also, I am hosting a 3-day live challenge to kick off my new CT coaching program. It is going to be in the middle of July. The dates will drop soon. Make sure you check out the links so you can come and be a part of that challenge. Okay. As always, come on over to Instagram, give me a follow. I always appreciate comments, DMs. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, give a 5-star review on the show. It just helps to support and reach more folks that need help with their CT training. So as always, thank you so much for listening, and I will chat with you guys next week.